Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a 1-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV. There's plenty to be thankful for. Your friends, family, and the fact that you can now get NFL Sunday Ticket for only $89. So thank yourself this holiday season and watch every game every Sunday when you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up now at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Offer ends December 2nd. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
Being a marketer's no sweat. You just have to manage dozens of channels, launch hundreds of campaigns, score thousands of leads, and okay, fine, it's a lot of sweat. Unless you have HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools to help you do all that and more. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Hello and welcome to another Victory Tuesday special, Birds of the Round Table, as the Eagles drop the Washington Commanders. Yes, I know the game was almost a week ago, but we've got schedules to keep, and it's Tuesday night, so it's time to talk about the Birds. I am your host, Shane Haff. You can give me a follow on Twitter at Shane Haff NFL. I'm back off of, I think it's been like 3 weeks since I've been on the show or something like that. My son's fall ball schedule is finally done. Tuesday nights are free again. And I got back just in time for Dibes to peace out. Dibes got used to the host chair. He heard I was coming back, and he's currently holding out contract dispute or something. So he's not here tonight, but the rest of the crew is. By the way, totally joking. He's just sick. But also joined by David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. David, how you feeling tonight?
I'm doing a lot better now that we've gone live, because doing that backstage, we were commiserating of which horrible jerseys we've all purchased during our lifetime. So I'm glad to move forward with happier news. The Eagles are 8-2. They're in sole possession of the NFC East. They're about to go to LA. It's the last flight they'll have to take for the rest of the regular season. And if they get home field advantage in the playoffs, the last flight until they go to New Orleans, baby. So I'm ready to go.
All right. Yeah, we're swapping. I told him we really should just go live. Just hit go live and do all our pre-pod chit-chat, because maybe you guys would find that interesting live. But also joined by Ryan. I own not one but two Jalen Reagor jerseys. Reese, give him a follow on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Ryan, now that I earned your dirty laundry out here, how you doing tonight, man?
Wow, you did me wrong there. Jeez. Well, at least you didn't tell them I have a J-Jaw jersey as well. So, crap. I
wouldn't do that to you. I was a big J-Jaw guy.
No, yeah, listen, I think people would love a jersey episode. We just BS about the jerseys we've had, we want, we regrettably chose to purchase not once but twice. Stuff like that.
It sounds like what we need to do is we need to have a Birds of the Round Table bad jersey giveaway, and Ryan would be a great sponsor for that.
I have about 90 Eagles jerseys, and there's probably about 10% I wouldn't mind getting rid of.
All right. Well, Ryan, the good news is, see, I wasn't coming for you as hard as the chat already is, because we've already got Brett Eclipse in the chat, and he was here on the post game asking about you too, but said he's been waiting all weekend. He wants to start with the Ryan's Kenny Gainwell apology right now. For those,
what do I need to apologize about?
Make him buy the jersey. Just buy the jersey as compensation.
True. I put this out on Twitter earlier this week, but before Gainwell's runs in the fourth quarter, he had 3 consecutive big runs. The team was averaging 3.92 yards per carry with a 40% success rate. And after Kenny Gainwell provided that spark, Ryan, 11.1 yards per carry and an 80% success rate. So big Kenny Gainwell day.
Oh yeah, it was glorious. The three Kenny Gainwell fans were jumping up and down for joy, I'm sure.
All right, well, let's dive into it here. We're going to start with our offensive takeaways. And Ryan, I'll let you lead us off with your Kenny Gainwell save the game take here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. You know me. Love me some Kenny Gainwell. No, listen, this wasn't necessarily a pretty game by any means, especially in the first half. But doing what the Eagles have done for most of the year, they seem to thrive in that second half. And, honestly, I thought Jalen Hurts really kind of stepped his game up. Had yet another turnover free day. Wasn't perfect by any means, but listen, I thought he took the team on his back. Saquon certainly was a big part of that as well, but listen, he was kind of evenly distributing the ball between Devontae and Saquon and Dallas and AJ. I thought Jalen Hurts is honestly playing an amazing ball right now and deserves a lot more love than the average fan is giving him right now, honestly.
Yeah, it was not the cleanest day in the office in terms of penalties, and there were concerns during the game of like, did Jalen Hurts get a concussion? Because his head hit the turf pretty hard 2 different times, and I know he was cleared. And I can't really. The NFL's messed that stuff up before, but I'm not going to speculate that he was anymore. But it was something that was really concerning just watching live, and it was something I was definitely concerned about. And things just didn't look right throughout the game, really. But then the Eagles score on their final 5 possessions, and you forget a lot of that stuff. And the score is not as close as the final score indicates, 26-18. It looks like a 1-score game. It wasn't a 1-score game. But if you factor in, the Eagles missed 2 field goals in this game. And if those field goals were converted, the Eagles scored on 70% of their offensive drives. And that's impressive. Now, we can talk about how you need to convert those field goals into touchdowns. You shouldn't be kicking 5 field goals in a game, but the offense did move the ball, and it didn't always look pretty. And I've got some questions about some of the pass game design things in this one, but overall you notch a huge win against a division rival on a short week. So it's hard for me to, Washington was lapping the league early in the season in terms of their offensive efficiency, and the Eagles, especially if you exclude that garbage time drive, but even if you don't, they almost doubled up Washington in yardage. And so I think, it didn't look as good. It didn't look like you would have wanted it to, but a win's a win. And this was a win over a good opponent on a short week. So I think Eagles fans should feel good about that.
Yeah, let's real quick, but just before you move on, we obviously are always going to think back to last year and how things were. And, we forget the fact that we were winning games, but, we all knew it didn't feel right. It was ugly, but it was sloppy. It was messy. And there wasn't much to be encouraged about other than the fact that they were winning games. Now we forward to the post-bye for this year, and they are winning games, and now they are doing it in a way that is encouraging. That is, there are steps that have been taken to get better. And I think right now, we're 8-2. Last year was 10-1. I feel so much better about this team right now at this point than I did last year by a wide margin. So it's encouraging that things are progressing in such a way that you feel good about this team, honestly.
Yeah, and good comment here from Q that last year we were winning games with the bottom defense. We currently have a top defense, and the Eagles defense is now top 5 in DVOA. If you look at since the bye, I believe they have the best drop back EPA and the second best rushing EPA. They lead the league in success rate as a defense. And of course, The offense has actually fallen off a little bit to last year. If you compare the numbers this year to last year, like the Eagles offense is 16th in passing DVOA right now. And that's simply not good enough with Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley. And so there's a lot of meat left on the bone there. And it just seems like last year you were waiting for the bottom to drop out a little bit. This year you've seen the offense add new things to their arsenal, and the defense has continued to just play at a really high level. And so it feels sustainable, and there's a lot more hope in my mind. The passing offense improves over the back half of this season than there was that the defense would improve over the back half of last season. So Brett Eclipse says the Cliff Kingsbury drop off is good news for the NFC East title odds. Yeah, absolutely. David, what was your offensive takeaway in this one?
I think y'all nailed it. The Eagles have struggled early in this game, just like they have all season. But the difference in the way they're struggling now and the way they did at the beginning of the year is most of all of these drives are ending from self-inflicted wounds. Like you mentioned, Jake Elliott missed 2 field goals. One drive ended by an uncharacteristic drop by Devontae Smith. Another one ended because of a Becton holding penalty. So I think there's a lot of encouragement. And like you said, they're mid right now in DVOA offensively, and they have so much firepower. They haven't even begun to tap into that yet. And they're wearing teams down, just like the week before, Saquon had 14 carries against Dallas. Then he had 15 carries in this first half in the Commanders game, and it wasn't working, but they kept sticking to it. And what they've started to do is these slow starts in the running game, it's a progressive pattern, much like a ball rolling downhill gets faster as it goes down the hill. They're just beating opposing lines up and forcing their will on them. And by the second half comes around, they're gassed, and you can see the holes come. The fourth quarter, Saquon had 2, touchdown runs within 20 seconds. He had that 23-yard touchdown run, then he breaks off a 39-yard touchdown run, and that doesn't even include the 43-yard reception he had on a 3rd and 6. So, I mean, they just beat you up, and once they get it going in the second half, they're almost unstoppable. And I think that's what's most encouraging, is that every problem they have is almost self-inflicted. Nobody's really stopping them except themselves, and I think that's a really encouragement, as opposed to last year where every game you just waited to see if they were able to hold on. Yeah, for sure. Well, let's flip it over. We talked briefly about the defense and how much more improved it's been. But David, what's your big defensive takeaway from this game? Mine is, I'm going to go with coaching, and I'll start with Christian Parker. The job he has done in the defensive backfield, man, it just cannot be overstated. The improvement from not just integrating the rookies into this, but from the veterans as well has been special. The on-field communication and all, that reflects good coaching, them being prepared, calling out plays before they happen. He's been a real difference maker with all those defensive backs, and linebacker coach Bobby King has been a revelation. I mean, nobody saw this coming. Not with Dean, not with Bond. I don't believe there was anyone in the fan base or even the league that projected this type of development from these two players. I mean, the duos, just like the defensive backfields, they're calling out plays before snaps. You can watch the film that the Eagles and the NFL are releasing where they're literally calling game. Dean and Bond are working in concert together, and the film study is evident every time they get on the field. And that's just a very good sign of good coaching. And I think that had been sorely missed over the past couple seasons.
Yeah. You don't expect to walk into a season and have 2 rookies starting at corner and 2 guys that have basically never played linebacker in the NFL starting at linebacker, and it looked this good. And so huge credit to the coaching staff for how they put this thing together. And, hopefully they just keep rolling because they're playing at an unbelievable level right now. Ryan, what was your defensive takeaway from this one?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, David, that was a very Dives answer there. So I appreciate you throwing that in there, since he's not here with us. I'm gonna go to the positional group that you didn't touch on, and that is the front four, the defensive line. I think they have been improving slowly but surely since the bye. Every single week they're getting pressure. They did a great job of keeping Jaden Daniels at bay This is a guy who leads his team in rushing. So that I thought they did a really good job. And Carter, again, another sensational game. But and while he doesn't play as much as perhaps many of us would like, given his draft position, I think Jordan Davis is somebody that needs to have a little bit more love. He has been quintessential to their run defense and being able to dictate the line there in the run defense. He is absolutely paramount, and he makes Bond and Dean, he makes their job so much easier to come in and fill those small gaps that he doesn't take up. But yeah, I think the line has really been something that, before or early in this season, we weren't very high on, and people probably still really aren't. But I see the slow development and the improvement week in, week out. They're starting to get a lot more pressure. They're starting to get to the quarterback a lot more, and their run defense is absolutely outstanding. It's one of the reasons why this defense is, statistically speaking, one of the best defenses in the NFL right now.
Yeah, and saw a lot of it. Jalen Carter, too, Brett Eclipse chiming in that he helps a ton. He said, I don't know if you can call it an exaggeration, but it feels like he's having an Aaron Donald level of impact. And per Next Gen Stats, Jalen Carter has generated 29 pressures as an interior defensive lineman, which is the fifth most in the NFL. And 15 of those 29 have come in under 2.5 seconds. And I believe I saw that he had 3 pressures in this game that were like an average of 1.8 seconds or something like that. They also note he's the only defensive tackle who has generated multiple pressures in every game that he's played this season. And by the way, played 100% of the snaps on a short week. Last year, he definitely hit a wall. And you see that a lot with rookies, and conditioning was maybe a thing. Maybe it's just, it was the most snaps he'd ever played in his career. This year, he's just casually playing 100% of the snaps on a short week and making a huge impact. So you can't overstate how well Jalen Carter has been playing either.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our player of the games. Ryan, I'll give it to you first this time. Who's your player of the game?
Oh, well, I'm going to have to go with Saquon. He again was patient. He finally was able to break free in the second half. There's 2 touchdowns were absolutely amazing. I was in the end zone there, probably 20 rows up as he was coming towards me both times. It was absolutely great to see, and honestly, for him to seal the game with those touchdowns. And like David said, they were technically like 20 seconds apart, pretty much. So, Saquon has just absolutely been the story for this offense this entire year. And he certainly was again on Thursday.
Yeah, and made an equally big impact in the passing game with 52 yards receiving on 2 receptions, including that 43-yarder that was huge for the Eagles. So that's a great pick. David, where are you going to go for your player of the game?
I'm going to go back to the guy we were just all speaking about, and that's Jalen Carter. Like you said, he played 100% of the snaps. That is a nightmare scenario for opposing offenses. He is absolutely wrecking interior offensive lines every week with his increased conditioning. He rarely has to leave the field now. He could be the best defensive tackle in this league, and he could be in the conversation for defensive player of the year. He played 107 snaps with only 3 days in between. That is absolutely unheard of. And if you look back to last season when he was coming off the field and you could tell he was wearing down, it has been an amazing transformation, man. And he has completely transformed the defense, and the pressure that he provides up front, the havoc that he's wreaking, it has changed everything. And it's made the life of the defensive backs a lot easier as well.
Yeah, that's a good call as well. Brett Eclipse asked, doesn't Saquon make up like half of some of the fastest runs in the league this year? He is 3 of the top 10. Yeah. He is currently 4th, 8th, and 10th on that list. It was higher earlier in the season. So I'm going to give my player of the game. Okay, realistically, it should go to Zach Bond, who had an incredible game, right? Realistically, it should go to Zach Bond, 15 tackles, tackle for loss. He's the one that makes the play on makes the final play on Jaden Daniels on that 4th and 2, greatly aided by Jalen Carter, greatly aided by Reed Blankenship. But I'm going to give my player of the game to Grant Calcaterra, who had in this game had 0 targets, but makes perhaps the play of the game, hustling downfield after the ball. The ball gets punched out of Dallas Goedert's hands, and he's just right there to fall on it. And there is not a more game-changing play in this game than that one. I mean, I think the Eagles were up 2 at that point. I think it was 12 to 10, if I recall correctly. It was 12 to 10 with 7 minutes left in the 4th quarter. And the Eagles would score a touchdown 3 plays later. And so he does not show up in the stat sheet other than that fumble recovery. But I have doubts about the outcome of that game if he's not there to fall on that Goddard fumble. So I'm giving the unsung hero MVP player of the game award to Grant Calcaterra.
There you go.
All right. Does anybody else have any final things they want to say about this game before we turn the page and we start talking about this upcoming matchup with the Los Angeles Rams? Anybody?
I got one thing. Just a couple quick stats. The total amount of offensive drives the Eagles have had so far this year with 10 or more plays is 26. That's insane. I mean, it's tied for first going into Sunday's game. They're a game behind, so somebody may have caught them after that. But they are averaging during this 6-game winning streak 199.7 rushing yards per game. It's just unbelievable. I mean, they're just completely enforcing their will on every opponent that they have. There's a 814 rushing yard differential between them and what the defense has allowed against them this season. Quinyon Mitchell has a 25% forced incompletion rate, which is the highest in the National Football Conference. Jalen Hurts has 17 total touchdowns since coming out of the bye, which leads the NFL. I mean, they are just playing some incredible football. So when we sit here and, pick on a couple things that need to improve, you have to remember they are leading the league in almost all these categories right now. I mean, they are really playing lights out football.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, let's turn the page then and let's get into our matchups to watch. Big game coming up against the Los Angeles Rams. This is an important game for the Eagles not just for the division, because obviously you need to keep winning games here. Washington's still within striking distance, but also the 1 seed is within striking distance. The Eagles are only a game back of the Lions right now, and the Eagles and Lions don't play each other. And so obviously you need some help. You need the Lions to lose a game, and then you need to match their win total. But what's going to come down, what it would come down to as a tiebreaker is your common opponents. And if the Eagles lose this game, it's impossible for them to win that tiebreaker against the Lions. So this is a really important game for a lot of reasons. Not that we need to really get into tiebreakers in week 12, but this is a key game. And so, David, give me your top matchup to watch when the Eagles travel to LA.
I went with the Rams wide receivers versus the Eagles defensive backs. Cooper Kupp plays out of the slot about 70% of the time historically. He's very rarely pressed. It's in his career, it's been like 11% of the routes he's ran, which is something like 5th lowest in the NFL during that span. So it's going to be DeJean versus Kupp on a lot of these routes. Kupp has 47 receptions this year for almost 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's only averaging 10 yards per catch. Throughout his time playing the Eagles, which is only 3 games, he has 18 receptions and 1 touchdown. But DeJean, I think, is going to be up for the task. He's been targeted 33 times, given up 22 receptions, 0 touchdowns. Stafford, I believe I asked you going prior to the show, he gets rid of the ball in like 2.77 seconds when the Eagles are getting to QBs in about 2.5 seconds. So he's going to have to get, cut off some of these routes pretty quick. And then on the other side, you got Puka, who will be lined up everywhere, the slot, outside, pre-snap motion. But one would think Quinyon's going to be on him a lot. Puka's only been back for 5 games, but he's coming off of just a record-breaking season for a rookie. And Mitchell has locked up 10 notable receivers already this year, and I think Puka will be the 11th.
Yeah, you mentioned Stafford, and I saw this statistic on Twitter from Dennis Selman, said that Matthew Stafford has dropped back to pass 369 times this season, and he has 0 scramble attempts. He already, since 2006, when this started being tracked, Matthew Stafford already is 3rd most dropbacks without a scramble. And he's only 16 behind Drew Brees. So barring a scramble, he will get to 2nd place. He will pass 2019 Drew Brees and be chasing down 2013 Peyton Manning for the rest of the year. So not a lot of mobility here. Hopefully the Eagles are able to get home and cause some pressure and the secondary holds up. I'm going to look at the other side of that matchup, and I'm going to talk about the Rams pass rush against the Eagles offensive line. This is the strength on strength matchup in the game, in my opinion. That the Rams don't play dissimilarly to the way Washington does. They'll give you some 5 down fronts. They're going to throw some loopers in there. They're going to do some of the same things that the Commanders were doing to give the Eagles problems. And the Rams currently lead the NFL in pressure rate. They're pressuring opposing quarterbacks on 42% of their dropbacks. And Jalen's pressure numbers haven't been great. He's been good against the blitz, not necessarily against pressure. And the Rams are 10th in sack rate. They drafted 2 rookies that have been awesome. Braden Fisk and Jared Verse have been lights out for them. Jared Verse has 48 pressures right now, which is 4th in the NFL. They have 4 players with over 30 or more pressures in Jared Verse with 48, Kobe Turner with 35, Byron Young with 31, and Braden Fisk with 30. And it tells you something about the age of this team that I distinctly remember covering all of these guys for draft shows, which we've only been doing for 3 years. The Eagles only have Josh Sweat and Jalen Carter in the 30s. And so this is a team that gets a lot of pressure. By the way, it's Jalen Carter with 33, Josh Sweat 36. Then it drops all the way down to BG at 16. So this is a team that gets pressure, and they have to because their secondary is not very good. The Rams have given up the 5th most explosive passing plays this season. By the way, the Eagles have given up the least. But the Rams have given up the 5th most explosive passing plays this season. The Ravens, who the Eagles will play the following week, are 2nd in that. So you're playing 2 defenses that you better be able to throw the ball on. It needs to look cleaner because they've struggled there. And by the way, I just think this is funny. The Eagles have also played the number 1 team, the Jags, the number 3 team, the Saints, and the number 4 team, the Browns. So after the next 2 weeks, the Eagles will have played the 5 defenses that give up the most explosive passing plays. But you got to block it up front and give yourself a chance. And this is a defense you should be able to throw the ball on. So that's my matchup to keep an eye on. Ryan, what about you? What's your top matchup to watch?
Yeah, I'm going to be paying close attention to the Rams' run offense with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum there versus the Eagles' run defense. You know, I'd obviously talked about the big boys in the middle, Carter and Jordan Davis, and their impact on our run game, and obviously the linebackers with Bond and Dean kind of filling in the gaps there. But you know, I really do like Kyren Williams. He has 750 yards so far on the season, 8 touchdowns, you know, about 75 yards per game. But you know, Blake Corum also kind of comes in there and spells, and he's a little shifty. But you know, again, this is going to be another, you know, tough matchup for the run defense there, because Kyren Williams can certainly get yards in chunks and has a way of kind of beating down normal defenses. Now, I don't think that's going to happen with our guys because, again, I think we got bigger guys, stronger guys there that don't necessarily break down so easily. So. But still, it's something that, you know, I want to keep track of, and that's the matchup I'm going to be watching.
All right, let's go to a couple comments here. Brett Eclipse says the defense has been so crazy. We literally didn't even talk about Quinyon Mitchell, who just shut down the Eagles' worst nightmare over the last few years. He also says the top matchup to watch is SoFi Stadium versus Eagles fans buying tickets. Yeah, it's going to be like 80% Eagles fans.
Always
as always. Yeah. And then we've got the Rams offense is almost the opposite of the Eagles offense. And yeah, very, very stylistically different for sure. Yeah. So, all right. Any other matchups you guys want to shout out before we get into our picks?
I meant to mention during the defensive backs that the Eagles have only allowed one passing touchdown during this 6-game win streak, which is just an insane turnaround from what we were dealing with a year ago.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the one to Ertz last week?
That was 2-point conversion.
How did they score that touchdown? I thought that was a touchdown to Ertz, no?
No, that was the 2-point conversion. I'm trying to remember what the touchdown actually was now. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think it was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson broke up a pass to Zach Ertz, if I remember correctly. And then on the next play, he hit Zach Ertz, beat Chauncey Gardner-Johnson for the touchdown. Oh, no, yeah, so Ertz caught a touchdown, but the catch you're thinking of at the back of the end zone was the 2-point conversion.
Oh, okay.
So Ertz caught the touchdown and then caught the 2-point conversion.
Gotcha. So wait, so then what was the touchdown then if it was only one?
I think it was like an end breaker. It wasn't the one at the back of the end zone.
Okay. All right. Well, either way.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because he caught both, right? He caught the touchdown and the 2, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he did.
Oh. Yeah, I think it was like a slant or an in
or
something.
One last touchdown on the link for Ertz. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. All right, well, let's get into our picks. We're going to start with our player of the game predictions. Ryan, lead us off. Who's your player of the game?
I am going to go with this is going to be a big A.J. Brown game for me. This is, again, as you've been saying, that Eagles need to take advantage of this Rams pass defense. And, A.J.'s, not been so A.J.-like last couple of games. He's certainly got his catches, but he hasn't had that kind of signature game in a while. And I think this is where he could potentially go $150, touchdown or 2, and really kind of open things up against the Rams.
All right. So A.J. Brown from Ryan. David, where are you headed?
I was headed there. So I'm going to pivot to Devontae Smith. He's been way too quiet. It's time to start finding some balls for him as well. So I think he could do it on, they denied him on his birthday in prime time. So it's time to help him out in LA and give him about 8 and 9 targets in this one.
All right. Well, I'll just keep it here with the passing game and I'll go Jalen Hurts. I think this is a team that can be had deep, and I'm just going to be hoping that it's equally split between AJ and Devontae. So Hurts' numbers look better than theirs. So let's go to score predictions. David, what do you have?
I went on this one. I went 26-17 Eagles.
All right, 26-17. What do you have, Ryan?
I'm going 34-18.
All right, 34-18. I'm assuming you're saying Eagles. I didn't clarify with either of you, but
do you need
to? All right, I'm going to go 28-13 Eagles. I'm a little leery about predicting a game that's not a one-score game still, but the defense has been so good, and Stafford can always go on a heater, but I think the Eagles will take care of business here. Over under at 50.5. I think that put Ryan on the over and David was on the under. And I believe I was on the under of 50.5 points as well. Let's go more receiving yards in this game. Puka Nacua or Devontae Smith. Ryan, what do you have?
Puka.
All
right. Ryan says Puka. David, what do you have?
I'm going to keep my belief in Quignon and Slay, and I'm going with my player of the game, Devontae, to have more yards.
You better.
All right. I am going to also take Puka Nacua. So I think he's likely to have more yards in that matchup. Let's go. Who scores more touchdowns in this game? Kyren Williams or Saquon Barkley? Kyren Williams has not scored many touchdowns the last month of the season, but Saquon Barkley gets all of his close touchdowns vultured away. Ryan, what do you think?
It's still going to be Saquon. Saquon's probably going to get at least one, and we're going to keep Kyren out of the end zone.
All right. Ryan, what about you? Or sorry, David, I mean.
Yeah, I think it's 1-0 Barkley. So I guess I'll go Saquon.
All right, I will make it a clean sweep and also say it is Saquon. Let's go more passing yards. Jalen Hurts or Matthew Stafford, David?
I'm going Stafford because I think he's going to be throwing the entire fourth quarter. So I'm just going to pick him.
All right, David, Ryan is frozen. Or he got mad because I called him David. It could go either way.
And
now he
amazingly
moved.
Doesn't change his face.
But now he's frozen again. So I'll go while we see if Ryan unfreezes. I'm also going to take Stafford. The Eagles are just so... Oh, I heard him. Are you there, Ryan?
Give sport with gifts from Nike. From the retro Vomero 5 sneaker designed with Zoom Air cushioning to fleece engineered with lightweight warmth and next-level comfort, we have the perfect gift for any athlete on your list. Shop now at your nearest Nike store.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is funny. I could see him moving, but I'm going to go Stafford as well for a lot of the reasons that David said. I think they're going to be playing from behind. I think the Eagles are going to stay committed to the run game, even though I think this Rams defense can get got through the air. So I will take Stafford, and Ryan is a spinning black circle now. So, and now he's gone. So we may have to get that pick from him later. Let's go to the next one. More sacks, David, the Eagles or the Rams? Who gets more sacks?
I'm going with the Eagles in this one for basically what you said earlier, that Stafford has become a statue in the past few years. So I'm gonna think it's a game that some of the edge rushers are going to produce. Might see Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith get free due to the interior pressure that Carter's bringing.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago against the Dolphins, Stafford was sacked 4 times. The 2 weeks previous and the week since, he had 0 total sacks. So it can be real hit or miss. But I'm going to take Hurts. I'm going to take the Rams to get more sacks of Hurts. Hurts holds onto the ball. They try to push it downfield. That lends itself to some sacks, even though their offensive line's really good. I think it'll be a tough matchup for them with this Rams pass rush. And so I will take the Rams to get more sacks. And Ryan is back with us. Ryan, we missed you, buddy.
Sorry, I had to go.
All right. Well, I need, while you were gone, we did our pick for most sacks. David said the Eagles will have more sacks. I said the Rams will have more sacks. So I need your take on that. And Rams, who will have more passing yards?
And Hurts.
Okay. So Hurts more passing yards.
Rams for more sacks.
And Rams for more sacks. Okay. All right. And I do have, I guess I can give Dibes' picks because Dibes is sick. And so I got these from him. He is over on the total points. Eagles 30 to 21. He says Devontae Smith will have more receiving yards than Puka Nacua. Saquon Barkley will have more rushing yards than Kyron Williams. Matthew Stafford will outpass Jalen Hurts. And the Rams will have more sacks than the Eagles. So we will get those plugged into the spreadsheet. It's Dibes' spreadsheet, so I can't update everybody on how we did last week, but we'll get that updated again next week when Dibes is back with us, hopefully. We've got a comment coming in that Ryan's on the McDonald's Wi-Fi. Love that.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Brett Eclipse has a bold prediction that's totally never been made before. I believe this one gets made every week. Quinyon will get an interception in this game. So there you have it. You heard it here first.
Stafford will try him probably, so it's not a bad week to guess.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to about do it. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode of Birds of the Round Table. If you enjoyed the show, hit Dibes up on Twitter and tell him it's not the same without him. Give us all a follow. Check out the Eagles Pinpool Podcast Network, wherever you get your podcasts. This audio will be out there tomorrow. A lot of great shows coming out there. Let's throw it around the horn for final thoughts and plugs. David, the floor is yours, my friend.
You can follow everything I do at PHL Eagle News. I released a piece in regards to some numbers, stats from the Eagles' 6-game winning streak since the bye. Tomorrow or Thursday, I think they're releasing top 10 edge rushers that the Eagles could be interested in after the season ends, because I had to write something during the 10-day downtime. And also, I'd like to send this around you guys before we leave and any of the viewers. Saquon has 470 yards to go before he can surpass LaShawn Shady McCoy as the all-time single-season rushing leader in Philadelphia. Shady had, 1607, I think is the mark.
Yep.
So, A, do you think he's going to pass it? Yes. B, where does he end up? How many rushing yards do you think he ends up with?
I think he ends up with 1,900. I think he falls short of the 2,000, unfortunately. As much as cool it would be, as it would be, but yeah, I mean, I think I read somewhere he needs to average like $140 to surpass the record. So that's going to be a tall task.
He's got 1137 right now with 7 games left. So whatever.
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he gets to 2,000 because he would A, have to pick up the pace a little bit, and B, would have to play the rest of the season. And I think there's probably a scenario where he doesn't play a week 18 game either because they've clinched a 1 seed, or they cannot get a 1 seed, but they've clinched the division or something like that. So I think that one will be hard. I don't think he gets to 2K, but I would love it if he did.
So
he will if you include playoffs.
I went 1888. So Brian went 19. What do you got, Shane?
I'll take. I would say like 1875, but that's too close to David. So I'll say
Price is Right.
No, we're all close within 15. It's fair. It's like Price is Right. Should have picked 1887.
Go 1887, and you got everything below.
Wait, Price is Right. You can't go over. I got 1 yard. I got 1.
Oh, damn.
Fun TV show fact. Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, Price is Right as you had. It was closest without going over.
Without going over, of course.
Wow.
Because the last dude was always like $1.
$1. $1, Bob?
Yeah. All right, Ryan. Final thoughts, plugs, floor is yours.
Listen, my final thought is that the NFC East belongs right here. And there wasn't a question about it throughout the season. Dallas Cowboys, my God, they are hard. They are tough to watch. The Giants are just, they're
I don't think they're tough to watch at all.
No, yeah, because nobody watches them. And listen, Washington certainly gave it a good run there. But they definitely, are a team that's probably going to, be a force in this division as long as Jaden Daniels keeps improving for the next couple of years. So, but yeah, we just got to hope that the Lions find a way to lose. They've had a couple of close games recently, and obviously not Sunday, but and they seem to find ways to win. So, listen, let's hope we can just at least lock up the 2 seed, get a couple of home games, and even if we have to go to Detroit, I think we can beat them. They're the only team. That I think can beat the Eagles, but I think we can beat them as well. Other than that, follow me here, and tell your friends.
My final thought is it'd be nice to watch the Giants and Cowboys win a few games now and tank that draft stock, but maybe that's just me. But make sure you are following these guys. Lots of great content coming your way on the network, on these guys' Twitter feeds. Check out David's written work, but give them all a follow. David is at PHL Eagle News. Ryan is at Philly Sports PSA. We can give Dibes a plug. He's at Mr. Crockpot. I am at Shane Half NFL, and we will catch you guys next Tuesday. Go Birds.